Hello, YouTube. We are here live on Twitch where we are at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time daily at twitch.tv/hex_juice. Come hang out with us in our beautiful Twitch community. They are the more handsome of the two, and that's okay. I'm sure y'all on YouTube are very cool and very smart, but we are going to be watching a content creator named NairGG. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Not that smart. Went to public school in the US. But this is one of my favorite content creators ever to react to because even if I disagree with every single thing that comes out of his mouth, man, is it entertaining and well edited. So let's get into it. This is why hardcore players are ruining games. Wuthering Waves. Subscribe.
Hardcore players are ruining our games. Specifically, Wuthering Waves. I consider myself a tier below hardcore. I min-max here or there if I have a favorite character, but I'm not gonna sit here and try to exhaust the entire game in a week. It's like these people.
I think I would also probably consider myself in a similar tier where like I'm not hardcore, but I do like to have characters that do big damage and I like to play correctly. I'm not at that level where there are people who are doing like animation cancels by bringing up their gadget menu right now. I've been seeing the most insane tech on Twitter to try to get the maximum damage. I'm not doing all of that. I like to play well. I like to play correctly. I like to have somewhat correct rotations and get decent damage and have decent builds, but I'm not going to be somebody pulling up my gadget menu to get an animation cancel or pressing the space bar at exactly this millisecond to get all that I can out of every single animation. It's very like chill about being good at the game, you know?
People buy a family-sized box of cereal and they eat it within 2 to 3 days. Bro, learn some fucking serving sizes. I'm gonna go through some points on why I think.
Okay, but like what if what if it was the only thing you had? Why are you shaming the Fruit Loops enjoyers? Leave them alone.
I think these people are ruining the games. They're gonna cause some issues for this game and you can't really do anything about it because if people enjoy the game this much and they want to min-max it, they want to 100% everything, they should be able to do this 100%. But
I want to have some nuance on this. I think that if you like to min-max games, you should be able to do that. However, I don't see how it ruins the game that people want to min-max and are like 100%ing everything. And secondly, I also think that if you are somebody that burns through the content of the game, you can't then sort of complain that there's not enough content. Because I've been playing crazy hours just dicking around in the game and I still have so much actual content to do. But if you do nothing but play the game like a fiend trying to get every single crumb and molecule of content out of the game, you then don't get to be like, oh, there's no content. There is. You just either money whaled and or probably both money whaled and time whaled. And now there's no content because you did it all. But I'm not seeing how this is going to affect the game long term. That's the point that I have.
I think it has a lot of negative effects on the development of these games. So I want to go.
That's a very odd thing to say.
Go through how these actually affect the game. Content exhaustion. I hate how the game will come out and you have these people that will beat every single piece of content. And I talked about this a long time ago about how hardcore players were going to beat the hard content on day one. And I don't think anyone's reached that level because I think the devs understood, yeah, these people, they gonna run through the content. That's why you can't upgrade your echoes. They bottleneck echo XP. Like they put all these locks on the game because they know these people are gonna just run through everything. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I mean, I've run through some of the content, but I know, let me take my time because there are update cycles in these games. And if you just run through everything, you're going to be the one in someone's chat. You're going to be the one in someone's video comments talking about, bro, there's no content. Where's the content?
I think that it's annoying, the complaint part. I think that's where I have the issue, but I don't hate that people do it because I think you should play games however you find it enjoyable, as long as you don't expect other people to play games that way. I think it is important to have a little bit of like personal internal thought about the fact like your experience when you know life and you complete all of the content in a game at once, it's not the same as the experience of the vast majority of a more casual player base. And I also know like there are some people who specifically want to get through the majority of the content so they can bring it into their like gotcha cycle. Because there are a lot of people, and you can let me know if you're one of these, where they have like a gotcha daily like Like, you have your gacha dailies that you do in each of your games. You go into DK, you do your daily stuff. You go into HSR, you do your daily stuff. You go into Genshin, you do your daily stuff. And they want to get to the point where they can just add Wuthering Waves in and do their daily stuff. Yeah, it's like their chore list. And so part of the reason some people burn through content is to get it into their like gacha cycle. But it's not the same if they then go like, not enough content.
What should I do? Oh, this game's trash. It has no content. Why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? It's like, dude, you did everything you were supposed to do. It's like becoming a billionaire. You beat the game. You ain't got nothing to do. I mean, just imagine the strain that this will have on devs because they build something that's supposed to be done within a certain cycle.
I don't think this puts strain on the devs unless they are way too willing to bow to, you know, players, to be honest with you. The devs are hopefully in any game, especially gacha games, are making a game for primarily casual players. If devs start putting in crazy extra content for hardcore players like this, it would be a poor decision on the devs' part.
Causes people to call the game bad and there's nothing to do, it's boring. It's like, no, dude, you're the one that's just playing 16 hours a day, bro.
Yeah,
imagine if you took them 16 hours and did something else with it. Imagine how your life would be. Anyway, I think people pushing the game.
No, I'm gonna play 16 hours of the game. It's fun, but I'm also just gonna dick around and kill lizards and stuff personally.
To its limit, the first few days causes the devs to release lower quality updates. And I think we've seen this with a lot of games.
I don't think Overdash was part of that. Sorry, that was a really weird thing to show as an example, gonna be real. I don't think the Overdash event was part of that because that was planned as part of the Wuthering Waves live stream. I don't think that was because of hardcore players in any way, shape, or form.
I'm gonna mention other games because I don't feel like dealing with shills and crybabies, but you can think of the games that you probably know what I'm talking about, where over time the updates just felt rushed, things weren't thought through, the events kind of sucked. And I think devs do this to kind of satiate the hardcore players or people who just push all the content because it's like, okay, well, we gotta shut them up. They're right.
Wait, are we saying that Genshin Impact became lower quality because of hardcore players? No. That's not true. That is not at all the reason. That is a crazy conclusion to come to about why I'm assuming it's Genshin. Because when we talk about shields and crybabies, my brain goes Genshin Impact, okay? That's not what happened, is that they got lower and lower quality. Genshin Impact updates were already always pretty mid quality. Any falling off has been because the community says it's good no matter what. So they realize, oh, we don't have to put in effort to any of this shit. We just have to do sort of the bare minimum. And they'll go, yippee, I love eating slop. It tastes so good. So it got worse because they didn't have to do anything more because any criticism of the game is inherently apparently toxic and terrible. But I don't think hardcore players have literally anything to do with this. I actually think that more of the problem with Genshin Impact is like these like uber mega casual like Animal Crossing people.
There is no content in the game. So, I mean, we got to add something. And I feel like they don't actually get a chance to just really make something special. But I feel like this is an issue that happens in most games that probably will happen with this game because this game is more of a hardcore experience. Now, I'll be honest, okay? I like this one. I like this point here. I like this issue. So exploit discovery. Because hardcore players 100% the game, for the next 3 weeks, what you gonna do? Try to exploit the game. Try to min-max. This is just the cycle of life. This is just.
I think it's cool when they find bugs where you can see the boobies of the characters. Personally, I know there's other examples, but I thought that part was pretty awesome. I just wanted to talk about it.
And you find little hacks and exploits and cheats to bypass the regular game mechanics. In Wuthering Waves, there's a lot of echo exploits right now, and I'll be honest. I'm using them shit too, okay? Look, I'm there with you. I'm there with you. Look, I get it. But I'm just saying, although I like it, I think it's still bad for the game. I 100% do, because these exploits contribute to the content exhaustion, the pacing issues, which causes the devs to have to force updates or give low quality updates. And maybe this does or doesn't affect it, but it seems like it. I'm not at their headquarters developing the game. Maybe it doesn't affect anything. And if it doesn't, great.
I think that this doesn't have anything to do with anything. I'm sorry. Like, I think that the exploits and stuff are like kind of annoying and lame because it's like you can know that it can be there, but I guess I think using it is pretty lame. Like, but exploits are in tons of games and it has absolutely nothing really to do with any like hardcore stuff or really anything with the devs at all. Like they're exploits in like shitloads of games. It is what it is. There is no update. There have been hot fixes trying to fix issues with the game, optimization issues, bugs, all that stuff. There's not been any updates. They added an event that was already pre-planned as far back as the Wuthering Waves like live stream. I don't know what he's talking about, like low quality updates, unless he's saying that he thinks it could cause low quality updates in the future, which I think would require some more specific wording.
Now I want to talk about the feedback overload because I think these people are so unaware of themselves. They don't realize they are the problem. Now I'm all for feedback and criticism, but I think there is a point in which it's too much and it's like, all right, bro, you're asking for way too much. And I think that since these people are so aggressive, a lot of other issues get overshadowed because it's like, oh, well, we gotta help these people because look how much they're complaining.
I would love some more specific examples because we're talking in these like generalities that make it very hard to interact with what you're talking about, to be honest. And so I'm hoping that we have some examples of like non-important things that are being pushed forward and important things that are being pushed back because of, I guess, hardcore players.
And I think a lot of the issues that hardcore adjacent players experience aren't necessarily issues that need to be handled right away when you could just wait for the next update, but it's like they want them to rush and it's like, dude, just let them cook a little bit.
Like what though? See, this is a thing that's always like there with Nair. It's like his argumentation is always a little bit poor, and so like sometimes I think he might have a point, but he doesn't back it up very well. There's no specifics, or when he does give examples, they're very bad. And I think all of the updates to the game have been regarding the most important foundational aspects, which is bugs and optimization issues. And so what are these things that are being ignored that are big, that are specific to hardcore players? I guess the ecosystem thing, but honestly, to a certain extent, that did need to be changed. It was still a hardcore player issue primarily, but it did need to be changed as well, and it has been changed. But they're also changing like a fuckload of stuff. Like it's very non-specific. It's very hard to interact with.
Next, I want to talk about unrealistic expectations. Now, I'll be real.
Okay.
I'm a part of this too, okay? We all do this. We all imagine how the game could be or should be, but I think this is mostly bad for the game. I don't necessarily think being hardcore is the specific issue with this. I think it's mostly all players, but you see it more from like hardcore players or the hardcore audience in general, where they'll apply these crazy expectations of the game because, you know, they're like, oh man, what if this mechanic could do this? Oh, the next character is going to be busted. Oh, they're gonna blah, blah, blah. And we've seen this a million times. And I think this hurts the game because the reality is often disappointing. Perfect.
I think that there were a lot of unrealistic expectations going into the game's launch. I made a video about it and was told that I was being a doom poster for saying that we shouldn't have too high expectations and that there were going to be issues. And so I understand where like unrealistic expectations do come into play and have come into play in terms of how much backlash the game is getting for the issues that are actually present. However, when you're so general and you don't have any specific examples, you kind of end up saying nothing. And that's kind of what we're doing here. High expectations are a problem. I don't think it's a problem of anyone other than everyone. Like it's not a specific part of the player base. Everybody does that. Everybody did that. And so a lot of people have been disappointed. But in terms of like unrealistic expectations for mechanics or unrealistic expectations for characters, I've not personally seen literally at all. And I would love an example of that so that I could look into that or think about that.
Example I can give for this is Genshin. Oh, wouldn't it be cool if they added a character that did this and did this? Oh, dude, they could update the mechanics. They could do this.
But where is it happening in Wuthering Waves?
Oh, dude, they can buff this character. And then when they don't do it, we're like, oh, the game's trash. You can't apply these high expectations to a game that didn't plan on even being that thing that you want it to be. And I think Genshin is that, where it's like, yo, we're just casual. Like, we weren't trying to be a hardcore game. Like, what y'all doing? It's like,
I don't think that hardcore was really the problem with Genshin. I think a lot of the problem with Genshin is that ultimately the systems of the game and the way the game works doesn't lend itself well long-term to continuing to play the game, because there's only so much you end up being able to do in Genshin Impact once you finish the story, once you've picked the map and all of that stuff. And ultimately the elemental reaction system actually prevents a lot of like complexity in gameplay and a lot of like active thought. It really is just doing your abilities in the right order with the right characters, and then you explode people. There's no reason to continuously make characters stronger when the game doesn't get stronger. So like, I don't know that it's like hardcore players want this like incredibly intense combat from Genshin necessarily. I think more so that they just wanted a reason to continue playing, and then because of the way the game is and because they don't add some harder content or they don't add more things to do, you lose interest. You stop wanting to play a game when the only thing to do is log in for a time-gated event that's not that hard and finish your Spiral Abyss that you've been able to complete with the same characters for like years, you know? But I also want to know, like, where is this happening in Wuthering Waves right now? Because this is a Wuthering Waves video.
Fortnite, they even added no build because like, bro, we never wanted to be a freaking try hard cracked game. We just wanted a fun game for people to play, and then y'all just want to fucking try to make this your career. Back to Genshin Impact. Yeah, people, they had these crazy expectations and they never, ever capitalize on them at all, like literally at all. I mean, we have Wuthering Waves today, so I think that we worked out fine, right? We're good. We're handled. Okay, we're handled. Thanks, Kiro. But still, yeah, I think unrealistic expectations could hurt games, and it does hurt games. So with Wuthering Waves, I feel like a lot of people say, "Oh, dude, the next characters are gonna be so cracked." They should, but when they're not, we just, oh, we're so disappointed. Oh God.
I mean, I don't think anybody's saying that Yinlin is gonna be super cracked in terms of like the next character, because I'm gonna give an example since he's being so non-specific. The next character is Yinlin. People are really excited for her because she's really hot, like really, really hot. But also because she is an electro buffer, which is really valuable in a sub DPS because she does off-field damage and also buffs electro, which is her element. And one of the more popular characters right now is Calcharo, which is an electro character. So I don't think people are like, she's the most busted character! I'm so excited! It's kind of why like Kafka in HSR is always a really good like invest into. Kafka will always be useful for dot teams forever and always because of her mechanics and because of her skills. So like it's kind of the same with Yinlin. She's a bit of a future proof like long-term sub DPS, and that's really valuable. That's why people are excited for her. But I don't think anybody's saying that she's going to be like busted OP or anything. She's a sub DPS.
How could they not make the best thing ever created in the universe? I mean, you gotta sit in reality. Not every character is going to be busted. Not everything is going to be this and that. And you don't know their plan. You don't know what they're trying to do with the game. And I think Wuthering Waves is going to be fine, 100%. But I'm talking about it because I see it becoming a problem slowly but surely.
So it's not a problem and it's not relevant and it hasn't happened, but we're bringing it up because it happened in Genshin. Okay.
Now we're going to talk about the meta. Now this one gets under my skin personally because I think this actually ruins the game. This is the thing that ruins the game in its entirety.
I think that meta can have a bad impact on the community of the game. I don't think it necessarily has anything to do with the game though.
So the metas. And who creates the metas? The hardcore players. The reason
it's not really something that's created. It's sort of something that's found when you play with the characters and their mechanics, and then you see the mechanics of the enemies that you have to fight in endgame. That would be how meta is created. It's not like thought up and theorized and created by hardcore players. It's literally more so like statistical stuff based on the characters. Weird.
This is an issue is because with games where you have builds and stuff like that, where you can have classes, or let's just stick to Wuthering Waves, you can build your character and you have this ecosystem. I think the fun is building your own character, finding out your own builds. But when you have these people that just automatically apply meta, say, oh, you're not optimizing your character great enough. Oh man, you need to have this echo. You need to have this. It's like, bro, like let people experiment and have fun with the build. And it's like, you put pressure on people. Oh, well, you're not going to beat this boss if you don't have this meta. It's like,
I do see where that is a thing. It is annoying. It doesn't have anything to do with the game itself. It has to do with the community. I think meta and HSR is a bit more important in the game and therefore a bigger part of the community. I think it's okay if you like to do meta stuff. Thankfully, I don't think the building is all that complicated in Wuthering Waves right now because there's not that many weapons and there's not that many echo sets. You put the ice set on the ice character. Most sub DPSs are going to need energy recharge. The healers use the healing echoes and the DPS uses whatever DPS in the element that they are. I don't see how this affects the game. It's more of a community thing. And I think in Wuthering Waves, mostly it's just like people trying to help. It is annoying and I get it. I feel annoyed by it as well because like people are trying to come in here telling me shit that I already know. Like I'm not, I don't know already. I want to play the way I want to play it. But like, again, we're talking about like the games. I don't think it affects the games at all.
The whole fun of hard content is figuring out the hard content. Why are you stripping?
For you, yes. For me, also, not for everyone. Some people like spreadsheeting and they're only a bad spreadsheeter if they're mad that other people don't do it, or if they're mean that other people don't do it. But the reality is the harder content in this game is so difficult. You could spreadsheet into the sun, and the content in this game, especially like the holograms, is so hard that if you don't have mechanical skill, it's not gonna fucking matter. And sometimes the spreadsheets say something that is not gonna work for you personally, because I was really struggling with some Tower of Adversity stuff. I could not get it down. It was Havoc Rover, Danjin, and Verena, and I was using Danjin as a sub DPS to get that Havoc deepen. But the thing was that I was not efficient enough at getting Danjin's outro skill up. And so I just removed her from the team entirely and did a 2-piece of Havoc Rover and Verena. And then I finally finished it after hours of trying to get the rotations right because it just wasn't fitting my playstyle. Danjin was on field for too long and my Rover is super cracked right now. And so like it does end up like, yes, you can spreadsheet to the sun, but if it doesn't work for you gameplay wise, because this is an active play game, it doesn't really matter. You could do it perfectly and get maximal damage, but most people are not going to be able to do things perfectly, especially when you're actually being attacked by an enemy.
The fun away from the game, which is building the fucking character. Why would I even play the game if you just gonna play it for me? But then when you have these people that just completely min-max and they force you and pressure you into building it a certain way because, if
you're being forced and pressured. You just need to tell people to fuck off if that's how it's happening. We do also have like autonomy. My primary problem with spreadsheeters is when they call you stupid for not doing it, or they act like you're dumb, or that it's like a skill issue for not having the like correct algebra on your team. That's when I have a problem. But in general, if people are just backseating and like if people are telling you have to play a certain way, there's this great thing you can do where you can just ignore them. It's great.
Don't have the optimal build. You're a loser. Let me give you an example. What's his name? Ling Yang. Everyone said, oh, he's trash. He's so garbage. Bro, when I got that dude in my account, he obliterated everything. What are you talking about? He's trash. How is he trash? Wow, he does 1% less than Calcharo. Shut up. He's not fucking trash. There's no character in the game that is trash. That's why I say, bro, this is so annoying where it's like this meta because these people are operating on like of the 1%. Like, oh man, well, this character is actually way better because they do 2% more damage in this specific scenario. It's like, bro, the fuck you talking about? Here's my rule. If it does 20% extra, it's better. If it does anything less, I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry.
I actually think that's a good rule to have. If it's a 5% difference, I do not give a fuck if I like to play that thing. None of the characters are complete dog shit bad. Some of them are definitely worse than others, and that's in every game, but I think it's a lot more about play style and not so much like being good, but also some people just really didn't like the way he looked.
Now this last one is adjacent to...
Oh no, there's monotony in gacha games? That's like not a problem in any other gacha game, definitely not.
The meta. In its gameplay monotony. I think this is bad because if everyone is playing the game the exact same way, what the fuck is the point of playing the game? Everyone has the same exact build. They have the same exact artifacts, echoes on their characters. I think this is...
Then you build your characters differently than how everybody else builds them. Who cares? Somebody was in my chat earlier saying that they were gonna make Yin Lin a main DPS. Just do that. So I don't give a fuck what echoes are on the builds. I care about play the characters. You want to play characters differently, then the meta just do that. In this game, it does not matter, is the thing. In HSR, you can't really do that. Like, let's be honest with each other. Diversity in builds in HSR is like not really a thing. Because again, it's a freaking algebra game. It's a spreadsheeter game. It's an Excel game. In this game, it does not matter. I have 2 content creator friends who are not using supports. Like, they're not using healers at all. If you cannot get hit, if you can prevent taking damage and do more damage, then you're good.
Bad for the game because it's just like, bro, the point of having a ecosystem or artifact system is so that people can build the characters they want, how they want, and try different things. And I think more specifically the ecosystem, because the echoes have abilities themselves, so you can really customize your build. But what I've been seeing is a lot of people just using the same fucking template, the same shit. It's so bad.
Well, yeah, you put the ice on the ice. You put the havoc on the havoc. What would you like people to do? There's not that much diversity in this game. What is you want them to put the ice on Danjin? What is the problem? There's no inefficient caverns like in HSR. Go get the echoes that you want to build.
In team comp, people is playing the same team comps. Oh, you play more Mortify with this character, and you gotta play. It's like, what? Oh, it's gonna make
because they're made to be played together. They're made to be played together. Mortify specifically is going to go with heavy attacking characters because he boosts heavy attacks and he does more off-field damage with heavy attacks. They have synergy.
Game feel boring. You're watching a video and you're copying to a T what that person does, and you're not actually having the fun, because the fun of the game isn't beating the hard content. It's learning how to fucking beat the content. Oh man,
for you.
How do I beat Memphis or Tempest? Well, his name is so stupid. They tried to rhyme it. You're not Dr. Seuss. Sit down, Kiro. This is just how I feel. I feel like this really ruins games, and it would be nice to see different stuff. And maybe this is Kiro's fault for just putting stuff in the game where you can only do something one way. But what I've seen is there's
I don't think you have to do that. There are people who are doing no-hit single character runs. There are people running two teams. I've only been running two characters on my main Havoc Rover team. There is a way to do it optimally, which is what meta is. You're not required. If you don't wanna, you don't have to. But it's not a bad thing to be aware of what optimal is when you're building, because it can help you, especially if you have skill issues.
There's tons of other builds that people use that are just as good or better than what the meta is. So yeah, I think the hardcore players definitely create this repetitive environment in games. So yeah, that's the video. That's just what I want to talk about today. Subscribe, like, and comment, do all that YouTube juicy stuff. Yeah, okay.
I think that it is okay if there is a meta. I don't think this affects the game at all. I don't think he even made an argument that actually shows how he thinks it affects the game at all. I like Nair, as always. I really like his videos, but I just disagree with most of everything in here. I think that you should play how you want to play. I think it's annoying when people are like, but you're not playing the most optimal way. You need to be playing it this way or else you're stupid. And it's like, okay, well, are you beating the same content as me? Because I feel like I'm doing quite well. But yeah, this was definitely fun to react to. I always like Nair. This is not meant to shit on him or anything necessarily. I think his ideas are whack and sometimes his argumentation is wild. But overall, he's a very entertaining person and I like reacting to him. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Are hardcore players ruining Wuthering Waves as we speak? Do you think any of these points are all that relevant to Wuthering Waves, or is it a bit too early to be saying some of this stuff? Come join us on Twitch at twitch.tv/hex_juice. Bye.